All right, so welcome to our third fabulous day. I hope you're getting enough nature, and enough food, enough energy, and having some fun. Don't hesitate to the fresh air, and barefoot in the mud is good. All right, did we have a concert last night? My goodness. Kasha? Emmanuel, that was super. There's Kasha. Wow, they were like, wow. So this morning we have our very old friends, Arturo and Lydia. And Arturo is from Mexico, and Lydia is from Greece, Athens. And they actually kind of met through us at one of our conferences, really. Also,
First one.
Yeah, first one, yeah. Also, thanks to Carlos. So Arturo has sponsored and translated our lectures around South America for many years. We did how many countries? Yeah. We had some fun. And translated the books, and we've been working together for many years. It's wonderful. And Lydia came, and she was working on a PhD on geobiology, and actually doing the science behind the devices to measure geopathics. I mean, some serious science as well as the spiritual interest. Is wonderful. So what a team! Oh, cool. And this is going to be an amazing video tour because they have been a demonstration of success. I mean, commercial success in doing biologic architecture. What an inspiration for our new architects. It's fabulous. So, glad they're here, Arturo and Lydia. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you so much, Dan. We're so happy to be here.
Okay. Good. Hello. Thank you so much, Dan, Valerie, Roger. Everybody has made too fun.
Everyone.
So
today we have a really big presentation. We'll try to cover a lot. So even if you don't get everything, just flow with whatever is being transmitted. That's the most important thing. And a little bit about our background. So I have studied architecture and sustainability, and then I went into doing a PhD. That was like a whole adventure there because I ended up, actually having to change my university because of the things that I was saying, and the director there was not even accepting. So my interest was how location can affect our health, and also how ancient temples were located in very specific places. And that has been a long mission that was really starting when I was young, growing up in Greece and having some really unique temple experiences that, I can share another time or in private if you want, so we don't take so much time. But, my passion is bringing all this ancient temple technology into modern buildings and creating sacred spaces. And many years ago, I spent some time in Dan's place. We exchanged a lot of things, and thanks to Dan, I have a beautiful husband today. So imagine what this conference can do for you. Thank you, Dan.
be careful, you can get married. So we will be talking about sacred geometry, architecture, and your well-being. This is Dr. Lydia, like we have been in many places. This is actually, I will talk a little bit about me and my background. This is actually why I'm here, because of this green vibrant light. So when I was 15 years old, I had to decide to go, like where to go. Like in the life, energy, the path. So I saw this green vibrant light when I was practicing yoga. So I was, like in this posture when your head is standing up. I mean, you're with your head upside down. And after that practice, I saw so intense this light, like vibrant green, like emerald green. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know any science about it. I didn't know anything. And I listened super clear in Spanish, Geometría Sagrada, sacred geometry. And it's like, wow, this is cool. What is this thing? So this is prehistoric time. This is, year 2000 or something like that. So I went online, checked Geometría Sagrada, and Dan Winter pop up. Because it was, at that time, there were not so many people talking about sacred geometry. So I couldn't understand anything what he was saying. I was mesmerized by the visuals, and I said, wow, this is what I will study. This is what I want to do. And I can talk forever. Anyway, so what happened is I started translating. I translate all the seminars and all the courses and all the information so I could understand it. So this is a little bit of me, 3 brothers, and Taekwondo and martial arts, and we had so much energy that we had to channel it somehow. And we ended up doing something that is called psychogeometry, which was, we were just playing with it. We were taking sacred geometry shapes made of, like, literally, like wood, like whatever material. We were playing with paper forms. And we're approaching them, 2 people, and we're measuring what was happening in their brain coherence, in their heart coherence, at that time with the heart tuner. And we were using the pulse, like the radial pulse, to see what was happening. And the amazing thing is that just by approaching a sacred geometry made of paper, things were changing, like inside the body of people. So we were traveling all around the world in Latin America, like many courses, like I don't know how many, a lot, until, this is one of the conferences in Colombia, like some of them we did it with Dan, other we were doing with psychogeometry, and we were traveling, I don't know, like for 15 years, doing every weekend this type of congresses and conference. And then at some point in Tepoztlan, which is a place, it's sacred mountains, near Mexico City, I had the opportunity to be in this area, in this field that it's called the plasma fields. It's from a guy that is called Carlos Diaz in Mexico. And literally, I don't know if this is actually someone is living there inside, it's like these UFOs. I don't know if someone is there. I didn't talk to anyone. I just saw them, and they go inside the mountain, and they go outside the mountain. It's like plasma living fields. Yeah, intelligent, actually, pretty intelligent. So we were there, and from that idea of approaching, taking sacred geometry and placing them, next to people, we had the idea to have them to apply the same principle in architecture. So we created ARCA, and this is one of the major congresses that we did many years ago, physically in a university. There is Dan, and Valerie should be somewhere. Yeah, and Michael Rice, and it was really amazing. And older Chasman. Anyway, it was really amazing, and from there, I decided, like 7 years ago, to make a trip from Madrid to Istanbul by bike, in a bicycle.
Twice, I couldn't believe it.
Yes. So.
And then what happened?
And then what happened is this. So don't do a bicycle in Europe. So this is what happened.
Don't go to the Winter's conference if you want to remain single.
Exactly. So from there we created Geophilia, which is the science of space harmonics. So all the background that I have had and all the background of Lydia in terms of her research, to create this. Architecture is a dance between science and art. It's not science, it's not art, it's a dance.
So that comes from, if you don't know this word, architekton in Greek means like the beginning of birth, or the beginning of creation, let's say. That's the root. So not many people know that. And when, the divine is like mentioned as the divine architect, it's because of that creativity and birth of the first principle.
So life harmonics has to do with this idea of fractality. So of course, we all know what's fractality. Yeah. The internal space harmonic and the external space harmonic, because we have been, with people that live in a very harsh environment externally, and they're perfectly healthy. They're very, well-oriented internally. And the same we have been in places that the external space is perfect, like it has all these fractal materials, but internally they're broken, they're in coherence.
So it's really important we put this thing together that we call life harmonics, which is basically if you want your best health and you want bliss and you want all these beautiful things, we feel from all our experience that it's important to bring into coherence both parts, like our inner space, or what we call our inner world, in these 5 levels: the vital, physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual, which actually have to do with the 5 elements. And then in our external spaces, our architectural spaces. So when we bring those 2 in coherence, that's when we can have the best results in our health, in our well-being, etc.
So, the science, we've been talking, all conference. The science of space harmonics is literally this image where, through golden ratio.
Yeah, but basically space harmonics is what is architecture, which is the materials, it's the geometry, it's the form, it's like the electromagnetic fields, the location, the colors. How we can bring, as architects and designers, how we can bring all these different elements that make a building into the highest coherence. Through designing in the most harmonic way. And you guys have heard about epigenetics? Yeah? The work of Dr. Bruce Lipton. What he actually proves is that more than 99% of disease in the world is not genetic, and it's epigenetic, which means he literally uses that word. It comes from the environment of the cell. Well, guess what? The environment of the cell, of course, it's all the fluids that we have, and it's affected by our nutrition, our emotions, and all these things, but we are every day, all day inside a building. So the environment of our cells is also our spaces. And so we can have environments that create the best health or create the worst health. Also from the research of the blue zones, this is another amazing work. 5 blue zones around the world. Actually, one is in Greece, in Ikaria Island. And what they proved is, from Dan Bunder, he says this quote, which I love: your environment is the biggest, most impactful thing you can do to favor your own happiness. And by environment, there are many things included, but absolutely one is like, where are we located, what's around us, and what is the building we are in, what is its qualities, right? So after our first skin, we have our second skin, we have clothes, and then the next skin is literally our building. So it's, and then you go, of course, in a fractal way, you have the neighborhood, and you have the city or the town or the nature, maybe even better if you're living in the nature. So as I was saying, we spend 90% of our time inside buildings, and their design can do, the absolute best for us or the absolute worst. It depends on us.
And from these 5 blue zones, which one was the most important for longevity? No, what element, what factor was the most important?
Community.
Thank you. We.
What's a blue zone referring to?
Community.
Blue Zone research is, they did a huge research around the world to see what places in the world have the highest longevity. So where people live the longest, and then they went to see what were the main factors. So there was nutrition, there was, of course, as we said, the environment. And inside the environment is your community. So people that had a strong bond with their community, like some places, I remember, I think it was in Loma Linda or someone else, they say like, okay, when someone was building their house, all the community went to help. So this person, imagine the support you feel when you're building your house and all the community comes to help you. It's a completely other way of living that we have forgotten. The past was like that. The tribes.
Emmanuel and Kasha are doing that exactly, the community in this village, really.
Yeah, exactly. It's community. It's us. It's we taking the time, the energy, the resources to be here physically,
We are actually doing our own in Mexico as we speak. We already have some people coming in, and we're all off grid. So we are also like big proponents of that.
So wave interference, you know the science. I don't have to explain you know this.
Everybody knows.
So in the top is there are 2 types of wave interference, like constructive wave interference and destructive wave interference. So this is like a happy marriage and an unhappy marriage.
Yeah, so basically in a happy marriage you have 2 people and you add their energies and you make a bigger thing which is like harmonic and nice. When you don't, you cancel each other's energy and you end up depleted. So that would be the metaphor for our relationships. human relationships.
Harmonic inclusiveness, which is all this energy that can that create phase conjugation, and it can self-organize, and it creates literally coherence or consciousness.
Yeah, so how waves can tie in together in the best way. And we think that's really relevant because in architecture we have waves that are emitted from different things. So we have waves that are emitted by colors and waves that are emitted by proportion, which is a frequency, from form, from geometry, for the materials, we have all these things. So how can we blend on this in the most harmonic way? So this is all about space harmonics. And an easy way to understand that, if you're just beginning, some people maybe are just hearing this for the first time, the easiest way to understand this is in an orchestra, in music. So when you have different instruments and you put them together and they work together in harmony, right, you have a very nice result, a very pleasant result. Otherwise, you know, you have something that is really disharmonic and you don't want to listen to that. So fractal geometry.
Yeah, fractal geometry means that we live in a semiotic universe. Like literally the meaning we give to things will have a very strong, powerful effect. And this fractal geometry is the code. It's literally the code of our universe. We have different levels of mathematics because when we have, of course, we talk about sacred mathematics. So you have secular mathematics, symbolic mathematics, and sacred mathematics. So the meaning we give to different levels of mathematics is what it's going to be. Here you can see, you know, this is like a beautiful synthesis of many teachings. You can see there is a dodecahedron. You see there in the back? You see? Like very, very, very big, there is a dodecahedron. You see it? And then what is symbolized as Jesus Christ, you know, with the open hands, it's creating exactly an angle. You know what angle is that?
Someone said it.
Who?
32 degrees?
Oh no.
No? More? Who gives more?
37.5?
137 degrees, which is, if you take a circle and you create a phi ratio in the circle, you will have 137 degrees, which is exactly that. So it's representing phi ratio in a sphere or in a circle. And, you know, many things there, phi ratio, etc. So in architecture, we have different constant. We can use any type of geometric constants or numbers or etc. So we'll see then what is the best constants to use. Phi, pi, and Euler. Phi, we know what's phi. Please look at your hands. So if you don't remember anything about this presentation, you will remember this. Okay, please look at your hands. So how much do you think the first, in your finger, the first bone grow in respect to the second bone of your finger and the third bone? Thank you. How much? How much? 1.618. That's it. Okay. Yeah, 0.33, etc. So this is crucial to always try to see, because we as architects, we go to a place and we immediately are scanning everything. You know, what's the shape, what's the angle of the roof, what's the distance in between walls. You know, like we're literally, and you will see that mainly all around the world we live in cubes. We live in 90-degree angles. Like it's very rare to see a pentagon or an hexagon or a dome or things, and we'll explain why.
And you know, when you have a really magical fractal number, when the way you derive it is fractal by itself. You just have a look at these two equations, that is ways to derive phi, right? Like it's like magic in mathematics, literally.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then pi, 3.14, etc., which has to do with, you know, we all know what's pi, but you create this boundary limit or this condition. And then Euler, which is linked to the golden ratio and the logarithmic spiral, which is 2.72. And it has to do with, you can apply it for the interest of banks, you can apply it of how bacteria multiply. It has many, many applications. And this is the formula. So then in architecture, when you're designing, you have many harmonic extensions. One of them is called the Giga extension. So you have remember that there is nothing plane in the universe. Like all these are just fantastic representations of things. There is no 2D, you know? Like when we're drawing a rectangle, it's not nothing exists in 2D. Everything is from 3D on. So you have there like a square, and then you have the diagonal, which is square root of 2, and then you start extrapolating them, and you create like this language. From the flower of light, you all know about the flower of light. We can derive three important roots, which is the square root of 2, square root of 3, and the square root of 5, which has to do there with the diagonal of the square, the diagonal of the basic capacities in the middle, and the diagonal of a double square. So a lot of the language that has been used in big corporation, in logos of all around the world from different cultures has to do with that. And then this is chestahedron. Do you know about chestahedron? It's a geometry from Chester. Beautiful geometry, has to do with dihedras. He derived another way to create. It's not a platonic solid. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't remember what I was saying. Anyway.
You were saying about the dihedra of the chestahedron.
Yeah, chestahedron. Okay, check online. Chester. Chestahedron has to do with the 7, because Dan talks a lot about the 7 around the 5, the 7-5, the symbol of the Enochian. And the chestahedron has to do with that, mathematics. So cymatics, we all know cymatics, Hans Jenny.
So you guys heard about cymatics? Yes. Yeah, more or less? Not so much? Okay. So Hans Jenny, he made these incredible experiments where he was putting sand over like a plate and he was vibrating it and changing the frequencies, and he saw that changing the different frequencies made a different geometrical pattern on the sand. What does that tell us? It tells us that every frequency is related to a geometry, and also every geometry is related to a frequency, right? So there is an absolute correlation. So that can be also derived from a building. When we have a different geometry as a blueprint, means we're using a different frequency. This is from a modern device that has been created, the Cymoscope, and this can transform different sounds and frequencies into pure geometry, which is really amazing.
Yeah, like imagine this building has a geometry. Now, what if we transform the geometry of this building into frequencies? So the other way. So you will listen to where you're living.
So in my PhD, I also discovered like so many papers and so many interesting research, and one of them was like literally showing how architectural forms can change the electromagnetism. So also placing different forms can alter what we call the geopathic stress or the geophysical anomalies.
And you can see there change of values in the electromagnetic activity when you're placing geometric forms in space depends on the location, the coordinates, Earth's surface, depends on the day of, the time of the day, the phase of the moon, etc. It's a whole system that it's talking to.
Yeah, and this is from another research, like how can pyramids and geometry can affect our body. So one part says that pyramids can concentrate the ground electric charge at the top as well as gather the atmospheric electric field lines at the top, and this has been actually measured, with airborne measurements. Also actually on top of artificial hills, because many of the hills that we think they're just natural, they're artificial, and inside there is a stepped pyramid. One is Silbury Hill, if you don't know about it. There are some people also from UK, so have a look about it. And yeah, this is another research where placing a geometric form can really change how geopathic stress or the geophysical anomalies can affect health, in a negative way. And then there is a geometry that is placed, and then that can change. And this was measured by a big team, a hacker who's a doctor in Austria, and also it was measured with the GDV and also with parameters in the saliva and in the blood. Yeah,
so there is a dynamic in the cosmos which has to do with this. You have seen Dan showing this. You have seen it. So the double torus or the fractal torus, what we realize is that in terms of architecture, we mainly live in cuboctahedrons. Basically we live in cubes. We live in 90-degree angles. Why we don't live in icosadodeca? If it's the best in terms of energy because it will create more implosion, why we're not living like that? Like the vast majority of constructions worldwide is like that. It's just cubes. So what I was thinking a lot is that maybe it has to do with this matrix of the cuboctahedron, that the cuboctahedron by itself is a stable geometry, because it doesn't have phi ratio. Whereas when you compress it, you go from this cube octahedron. When you compress it, you create.
If you want to show it, it's nice.
Yeah, you have this cube octahedron, but when you compress it, you create the icosa dodeca. And then you compress it more and you create a cube octahedron. Again, like an octahedron.
So this is the way they're connected between the 5 and 6.
Yeah, so
geometry.
the 6 geometry, which is the stable geometry, which has no phi ratio, which is actually like where we live, because creates this stability. Whereas when you compress it more, you create golden ratio, you create all this cascade of implosive energy and what Dan has been explaining. But in terms of, practically, if you live in a pentagonal space all full of sacred geometry, or an icosahedron, dodecahedron space, you will literally start imploding, which means you will share everything. Imagine you connect to a network where you will be sharing everything, good and bad, you will literally suck everything in and put everything out. So what I think that's why we are actually not living in spaces like that, is because our consciousness is not ready for that.
Yeah.
Whereas in some temples, when you have a strong internal development to do that, you can, because some temples have that phi ratio and have that pentagonal structures.
And because I teach a lot about, all the ancient temple technology and how were temples created, we're not going to talk about that, but, that's another subject that I teach a lot. And I get this question like, oh, should we design our house like a temple? And my answer is no. Why? Because a temple is created, for many reasons, for healing, for alternate states of consciousness, for many different things, seed germination, as Dan already mentioned. It's also part of what I was looking into. And we don't want that intense field 24/7. There is a phenomenon that goes with it, which is called hormesis. So we need a short dose of that. And I feel what Arturo is saying, and this is what I always say, is the more advanced we are in our level of consciousness, the more we can permanently live in a temple. These advanced beings like Hermes, Thoth, and all these advanced beings, they can live there because they can take the charge. They can take this high level of implosion every day, all day, but we are not there yet. I think most of us, at least, maybe some people are already there here.
We call that being ready for no secrets, bliss and death required.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, Dan was saying being ready for no secrets,
Yeah.
It's like everything you think, you feel, it's shared in the network. It's like a cosmic Instagram or something like that. So
imagine
you
what
have.
Arturo is saying, like imagine there is a family going into a pentagonal house and they are in this harmony and they're in a lot of conflict and all that, and that's going to be imploded and shared, and magnified. I mean, that's not the best always.
Yeah, so what we have is this dance between the pentaflower and the flower of life. So we go from this stability to this sharing.
So this is what Arturo was just showing you with the vector flexor.
Yeah,
so how you connect all these different geometries that are based on 5 and 6, like the flower of life and the pentaflower.
Which
Yeah.
is really charge collapse.
Charge collapse, yeah. And you can see there is, this dance between the hexagon, between the cube octahedron, and the icosadodeca. It has to do with the change of the angle, because in one you're using 36 degrees and the other one you're using 60 degrees. And the toroidal movement, or this, the way life begins, is from a polarity. You have 2 poles, and from that you will create a toroidal field, you will create an implosion and an explosion. And from there you derive the whole 5 Platonic solids, from there you derive the 13 Archimedean solids, and then you have the Catalan solids. You have thousands or millions of different possibilities of sacred geometry. So we have been asked a lot, what's the best geometry I should live? If I want to create a house, I want to design a house, what's the best geometry? And actually what we have, after more than 20 years working with a lot of people, is that every person has a resonance with a different geometry. There is not like one fits all. Your geometry will be different than other one. We have a master in Geophilia where we explore online, where we explore a lot of all these things. Like now we cannot, go so deep, but we go very deep in
12 modules. It's a one-on-one training, and it includes all of these things that we're talking about. But if you're interested, you can go online on our website and check it out. These are different books that we've written. The one that is in the left is the one Arturo helped me write, which is all the PhD research, and Dan helped me so much. We had an amazing exchange in the past, and also books from Arturo, Sacred Geometry and Architecture, and the Psychogeometry one. And let's talk about scalar waves.
So scalar waves, the name scalar wave means scale. They can scale. That's why they're called scalar, because it's like a scale. So Rupert Shelley, we love this quote. What you do, what you say, and what you think can influence other people through morphic resonance. You know morphic resonance? No, like we are all connected through that. So we have longitudinal and transversal waves. Electromagnetism, actually, it's called electromagnetogravity because they're all linked. These three concepts of electricity, magnetism, and gravitational fields, they're all linked. Thanks to Maxwell, we have electromagnetic fields, like he made, the equations to make this marriage. And nowadays, when you talk or you think about scalar waves, this is from Dan, you're changing a transversal wave into a longitudinal wave, or vice versa. You're changing a longitudinal wave into transversal. So this has to do with the whole universe. Imagine the whole universe begins with the Planck length. When we say Planck length, we have seen that sometimes it's kind of difficult to understand what's Planck length. So imagine it like a sphere. Imagine it like literally like a sphere. Very, 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 very small sphere. What's the length of this sphere? It's 1.61 times 10 to the minus 35 meters, which means 0.35 zeros and then 1616. It's really, really, really small. So you take this sphere, imagine like literally like a sphere, and then you start multiplying it. We will see that in a bit. You start multiplying, which is what Dan did in the, in the scale. You start multiplying times phi ratio to the different power, and you have a whole cascade. We will see it now.
Is everybody more or less clear about what is the difference between longitudinal and transversal waves? Is everybody clear? Like, we don't need to go to all the technical things, but one wave moves like that, okay? And the other is a compression wave, so it moves like that. So in compression waves, the easiest way to understand, we have acoustic waves, so that's how sound waves propagate. We have the waves in the sea, we have seismic waves, right? So these are compression waves. So they don't propagate like that, which is the ones that Tesla was using. So this would be a transversal wave. I mean, I'm showing this in a 2D, right? But in the 3D, it's actually a spiral motion.
And DNA and biology uses scalar magnetic waves. So they have made different experiments about it. So sacred metrology, as architects, what can we use? We can take any unit of measurement. What will be the best unit of measurement we could take? Are you following me, or you good? Are you still here? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, fractals. So we can take that one. You see there, the Planck length is 1.616 times 10 to the minus 35 meters, which is really, 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 really small. And then this is the work of Dan, like Herovska and Dan Winter. They say, okay, if I take this and I multiply times phi ratio, I will end up with really amazing, precise ratios or scales that fit a lot of things. So what we've been using in architecture, and this is from Dan. No, this is from Dan. You have seen that. What we've been using in architecture is the foot. So you take that measurement and then you multiply times phi, and you can create this embeddability in terms not only as a ratio, but as a bigger proportional ratio.
So what does this image show us, and why is it important and relevant with architecture, is because we can see that everything is unified across like so many different scales, starting from the hydrogen radius going up to the galaxy, and then we have all these different measurements like the Earth here and the heart rate variability and all these different things. And this is how the universe designs. This is divine intelligence designing, right? In the very, very small, in the microcosm, and then in the very, very big, the macrocosm. And so we are here as architects in the mesocosm. And we think, we come with this arrogance and we think like, oh, we are great and we know how to design and let's do a flashy building. But we forget about how the divine is designing, and if we want to be in that continuity, if we want to be part of this coherence, right, we need to know and look into how this is designed. And of course, golden ratio, Planck, and all these things are really important. And so it's important to always remember that we are part of this continuity. We are somewhere there in the middle, actually, in a golden ratio. I think it's the microtubules that are in a golden ratio from the smallest to the biggest, if I remember correctly. And so this is the way we embed ourselves in this very high, like small to big scale of magnitude. And we are there also in the same fractality. So the fractality is what holds this universe together, because it replicates from one scale to the other through that golden ratio.
So you could say that charge collapse therefore defines sacred dimension and sacred space. It's just another way of saying
yeah. So you know, in the very, very small, in the microcosm, you have electromagnetism, all these quantum theories, and then in the very, very big, you have the gravitational field. And there has been a divorce for many decades that one thing is different than the other in the, let's say, academic science. But it's called quantum gravity because actually it's the same. Like in this very, very small, it's creating gravitational fields. In the very, very big, you have the same, the same language, you know, electromagnetogravity.
So what Arturo was explaining is that this is like an important measurement for sacred architecture. You multiply the Planck length by phi, and then you put that phi ratio in different powers of, and then you get different measurements. You get the foot. The foot is derived by phi in the power of 164, but then if you change that and you have different powers, you can derive different things.
And Tufan's Planck tuner, for example.
Yeah, and this is Elfi. It's beautiful. It's from. I think he will give a.
Metric is next.
Yeah, this is all his work. It's just beautiful, and it's this very simple equation.
He extended what I did.
Mm-hmm. It's the idea of. One second. It's the idea of Planck length times phi to the power of whatever integral, and you have all this. You have a huge list. So at the beginning of the list, you can see there is a number 1, 2, 3, you know, in the left. So that's the first, you know, level, and then you start going up to the end of the list, like they're really, really big, and then everything in the microcosm, eventually in the mesocosms, in the middle, and then in the macrocosm. And we have been using many ratios, like for example, these type of sacred measurements or sacred ratios, that you can find them in sacred size. And it's like, how could they know these supposedly, you know, civilizations that they supposedly they don't know about Planck length? How could they design all these things based on Planck length? It's because, well, they actually were pretty advanced.
Hermes.
And for example, one of them is the standard Teotihuacan unit that also links to the Egyptian cubit. And then, I don't know if you have heard of this, guys, but for example, you have the exact width of the Great Pyramid, and it's exactly the same as the width of the Pyramid of the Sun in Mexico, in Teotihuacan. And then the height is exactly half the height of the Great Pyramid, and then you have also the 3 pyramids in the same Orion constellation alignment. I don't know about you, but me as an architect, for me it's very obvious that these things are designed by the same person.
Quetzalcoatl was Hermes.
Exactly, that. All these things that Dan has been explaining.
It's the same builders.
Exactly, the same builders. They left their mark, so we can decode it a few thousand years later, and it's like, okay, these things are related and they're done by the same architect.
And also you can do, this is from Robert Grant, and you can do similar things. You can take different constants, like for example, the speed of light constant, Euler macaroni, etc. And you will have, from just this simple geometry, everything fitting exactly in the same ratios. Not using phi ratio, but using square root of 2, which, remember, it's the pentaflower and the flower of life. So both are important, like, to create this balance. Le Corbusier, a French architect, he proposed, okay, let's take the height of an average human being, okay, in Europe, 1.83 centimeters, and let's use vibration. Let's see what's the best way to design, furniture and design everything around. So he created something that's called Il Modulor, which has to do with modules.
In the body, the golden ratio is usually like more or less as an average, right? It's in the belly button. So that's what he's showing here, if you can see that.
Frequencies of life, this has to do with something that Dan was, sharing a lot, but we have been using those for architecture. We place those frequencies. We literally put the frequencies there. We design the whole space, like the fractal space. You will see we weave everything, a lot of geometries, and then we put these specific frequencies. And, coffee's ready.
30, 50, 80, 130. That's Fibonacci almost golden ratio, and that's the cascade also we use in all our devices.
Okay. They say that we have 5 minutes. No, we have more, no?
Okay.
Okay. We have a... Okay, DNA is a fractal antenna. You have, actually it's very interesting. Dan has said dodecahedron, you grab it, and you have this double helix. But in the DNA, we have water molecules. And water is an icosahedron. And you can derive a dodecahedron inside an icosahedron. So actually, DNA is a water icosahedral molecule with the dodecahedral structure. It's both.
And the hydrogen at the center of water, perfectly fractal.
Yeah, in the center. Geometry of the Earth, we will go a little bit faster, turbo time.
Guys, hold on.
Yeah, all the different grids, many researchers have done a lot of research about how to place and where to place
This is
important.
Hagens, which is like very popular, and they show like different nodal grids that correspond to different places like volcanoes and pyramids and things like that.
We were working with Dr. Enrique Ortiz in Mexico, and he created a decagonal, dodecahedron decagonal grid to see what can fit inside, in Mexico, like the pyramids, or what can fit. It's a pretty complex thing. This is from Dan. You have seen it many times, like the pentagon that is created as a... Actually, if you see the pentagon, is created as a capacitor. It has, it has like layers. And this is from the work of Enrique Ortiz, placing a decagonal grid over Mexico to see, why they were placing pyramids where they were placing it. And
this is what I was explaining before about the Teotihuacan standard unit, which also mixes with the Egyptian cubit, which is really interesting.
Fits the cascade. ZV hyperlink.
so health is a dynamic balance that create, second. A dynamic balance that creates fractal implosion through golden proportion, golden mean. And this is really interesting. You have the capacitor, coil, and a battery. Imagine your solid organs are a capacitor, hollow organs are coils, and muscles and mitochondria are batteries. So actually, everything that is like in the front of your body that acts as a coil, like when you breathe, you are creating energy, like literally. This has to do with electricity, like how you transform electric fields into magnetic fields and vice versa. And how you create coupling in terms of magnetism. Like we're very familiar with the tuning fork, that if you vibrate the tuning fork, you will have a resonance frequency of another tuning fork. But you can do the same with magnetism. You create a vibrational frequency in a magnetic capacitor, and you can create the same thing, at a distance. And this creates implosive and explosive energy. And this is really important. Please take a picture, so you will remember. This is really important. So everything in life, because a lot of things that we do in architecture, it's based on this principle. Everything in life goes, when you're creating implosive energy, it goes to the right. It's clockwise. So when you start depleting your energy levels and you don't have enough energy, your battery is getting low.
Yeah, when your environment is not creating coherence, right?
Yeah, well,
empty out.
if your place is not helping you to give you energy, or the people that is around you or whatever is depleting your energy, at some point, what will happen if you are completely drained of energy, what will happen is that your cells
Polarity of the cells will reverse.
So this is work from
Jerry
Tennant.
Who was in our living room discussing this and asking for frequencies.
Okay,
It's
so
amazing. Yeah.
so what will happen is that it will reverse the polarity and it will change. You see up there counterclockwise. It will change the polarity to be, instead of being implosive energy, to be explosive energy. And then is when the problems happen, because then all the extra energy you will put, you are rotating to the other side. So how do you change that rotation? You tell me.
Geometry, meditation.
It says there. Fractal geometry, scalar energy corrects polarity.
That's from Tennant.
So-
That's not our quote. Like, he mentions exactly these words. Like,
So-
fractal geometry corrects the polarity of the cell.
So
Which is amazing.
you can see down there, and we will link that with the slides. Yeah, we have 1 hour more. How when you place this geometry, you will put the polarity the way it has to do, and then you can add energy, and then everything will be okay.
This is another amazing study by Ashok, who I visited many years ago when I was doing my PhD, and his father developed the electromagnetic blood test, and he found out that people that were living on a geopathic zone, they had reversed polarity on the cell and the oscillation of the blood. So it's a lot of different things that we need to take into consideration when we're creating a living space. So we'll move a little bit ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this you know about the 4 bodies, the physical body, the electromagnetic body, that the biophotons,
Yeah, let's
the
move on to the
gravitational body,
architecture part.
and the fractal, our fractal body, let's say. So this is very important, these applications.
Yeah. So this was like a very interesting project we did a few years ago, which was the biggest organic agriculture producer in Greece. I mean, he has so big land, and he was in the same place where his ancestors was, so he has very ancient seeds as well, and he's doing a lot of research with the ancient wheats of Greece. So he invited us to this place, and he had an extension of 1,000 square meters that actually, unfortunately, we could not design or change any of the materials because it's a factory and it had to be X, Y, and Z, even with metal panels for the wall. So imagine,
The
you can imagine
anti-implosive.
yeah, you can say like, oh, there's not much we can do. And he said, well, can you do something in the floor? And we have this technique that we weave sacred geometry grids with different metal wires in the floor before the finished floor is there. And we also put a powder that is like a charged crystal powder, a special thing that we use. And it was like an amazing project. And what happened is 1 year later, he kept his seeds in the old area of his factory and in the new. And this was the results from the field. So the same exact seeds, they grew so much faster. So for us, that was like good. We already know, yeah, thank you guys. We already know that this thing works, right? But to see it and to get the results every time from people, it's just giving another layer to it.
Yeah, and something really crazy. We were 2008. Then Valerie, we were in a house that I had in Mexico City, an apartment, 20 floors building. We were in the 10th floor, everything metal, everything concrete. And then we were sleeping there, and then Dan is like, I don't know how, I had lucid dreaming, remember? It's like, can you explain me how I had lucid dreamings in this 10th floor, Mexico City, 20 stories building, all metal, all concrete. You know how? That. We have woven under the floor all this sacred geometry, under the floor. And we have added, like these crystal powders, all these crystal rocks. And just by doing that, the whole fractal field changes. because geometry will change the electromagnetic array of the field.
Exactly.
Oh, and lucid dreaming is the availability of electrical compression, so you can radiate longitudinal, which is what that was serving as compression.
Persian rugs,
Successful
when
compression.
they have the Persian rugs, woven rugs like Pakistan.
Persian rug.
Some of them, I have one that's it's geometrical, very geometrical, and it's on top of my wood
Yeah,
floor.
Sufi
And
flying
that's my-
carpet.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, so a little bit about the way we work. We have created something that is called the Geophilia design system. It's based on like three main elements. It's bringing the people, the land, the location, and the building in coherence. So the first thing that we do is we do a client analysis, which includes 5-element chart. We create a personal geometry. We analyze the voice, and we have like a palette of colors. We know specific geometries that go for the project. This has to do, because people ask, either it's like your own house or it's like a hotel or a healing place. It doesn't matter because it's like your baby, it's your continuation. So it's really important that it's in coherence with your own elements and your own energy. The phase 2, which is the land analysis, we do an analysis of the earth in terms of where are the most harmonic places, what there is to avoid, if there are fault lines, if there are underground water and things like that. And then bringing it all together, in the actual design, when we do a holistic master plan, we integrate. I have also studied biogeometry, so we integrate that. And there are many other things like permaculture and different space harmonics technology. So this is a recent project that right now it's going into building permissions. This is in Tulum in Mexico. It's called Cymatics. They call it a chakra healing hotel. So we did all the holistic master plan. We integrate also feng shui, thanks to Roger. He has been my teacher many years ago. And a lot of other different things. So we did the analysis of the clients. This is the main hotel. So the hotel rooms have 22 rooms that are based on the 22 chakra system. So every room below the bed, they have their own different geometry and their own colors. And this is also based a lot in the Taurus. So the whole concept of the hotel was based. This is the reception. So see here you see kind of a half a Taurus, right? And these are different areas. So let me just move ahead a little bit with that. There are many areas, there are astronomical towers. This is from the bedroom. So here you see one of the chakras. And then in the construction also, what we said before, we do all these grids and we add the special powders. This can be done in any existing apartment or a new build, and we integrate that into art. This is the powder that we talked about.
I want to share with you 4 minutes. Yeah, okay, 4 minutes video. Are you ready? Okay. So we relax from the intellectual. We go to the other part of the brain. Okay, so just relax, enjoy. I hope. So put it there, put it there.
Is this already built? It's built? No, it's
It's in the permits process.
We can hear it.
Sounds very horrible there. Okay, who's ready to go? Next Congress will be in Tulum. We'll be there. So we will, yeah, do we have 5 minutes? Finish? Yeah? Finish? We want? You want more? Okay. So we will have this Congress, the International Congress, and this is the one we did. Then there was another one in UK. And now we're organizing this one. It will be online, so we're inviting you to join us. If just take a picture here, so it will be easier for you to remember. It will be online. It will be done to fan. Like we'll have like really amazing speakers. Roger will be there also. Like Nassim. Like we'll have really amazing speakers online because it's easier for for traveling, etc. And if you want today, go to that website. It's geophilia.org. And we have for the Congress, for people that are here with us, we have like really, really low price. Like we put like the basic cost. So it's like 60% down the normal price. Geophilia.org, like down there you see the website. You will see there the banner and you just click the banner and you will go through it. Yeah. Yeah, you can also subscribe to our newsletter. We inform, like all the things that we're doing. We're, like more things. So applications here, this is a build project. This is called Aiki Healing Center. This is 2 hours from Mexico City. It's in Toluca. We design everything based on a torus. And in the top, you can see there, here, top left, it's a huge mandala in the center. And everything is designed in a way, the water is flowing in a way, like that creates this implosive energy. It's just really beautiful. It had to be done with concrete because regulations. Was no other way to do it. But we found a way to not have electrosmog. Like there is a way to ground things so you avoid having electrosmog. Yeah. And you add additives to the concrete, like kind of biocement, and you reduce all this stress because sometimes you cannot do it. Like, ideally it will be done with hemp, will be done with hempcrete, etc. But sometimes regulations will not allow you to do it.
So I'll just go through a few slides so you just see this is a Montessori school, absolutely natural. Also build projects. Some projects are built, some projects are in the process, but all the projects we're showing here are real projects. It's not AI, it's not just, created like...
Yeah, it's not robots.
So this is a crypto community, a really amazing project, a hemp-based community as well, a lot of sacred geometry, another beautiful project based on like flower of life and golden spirals inside.
The pine cone in the center for meditation place.
Pentaflower community.
Yeah, this is the turbo time.
This was like a greenhouse project design that they wanted a huge pyramid like Giza to be a greenhouse, so it was a really interesting project. A hotel, like spa and healing hotel, also very nice project. Costa Rica, I'll just go through. This is a private villa that we did for the Hippocrates community. very special project also. Vipassana community for like a healing center.
This is made with Super Adobe.
Yeah.
This is Super Adobe domes.
Good dialect.
Centro,
Yeah. Which
egg-shaped also.
Egg-shaped. In some places in Mexico, it's more wild, so you can actually build whatever you want, and the government will not tell you anything.
Harmony guest house. It's called a little Airbnb Meteora, which is like the Greek Tepoztlan if you ever go there. So this is our website, geophilia.org. If you go online and you have the pop-up and you subscribe, it will show you 7 secrets to create a sleep sanctuary. So you will get a free PDF that is like over 15 pages that we've put together, like really how to create the best area for sleep. I think sleep is something super important, and I think a lot of us are struggling, you know, especially if you're living in a city.
So please take a picture, because sometimes they ask me, oh, so what was your website? Like,
Yeah.
please take a picture there. I want to do 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Do we have time to go out, or finito?
It's okay, let's do a quickie.
Yeah? Okay.
They need to go out anyway.
Yeah, okay. So I would like to do, I mean, now we can finish like the whole slides thing, but I would like to do something that you will be mesmerized. Like you are the outside, we'll go
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
To take a breath.
And no, but it's going to be an exercise for you to realize that we are very powerful architects.
So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much. Yeah, good. Just open a little bit. That's good. Yeah, great. Okay, so we're all here. Great. So it's very simple what we will do. Okay, so it's very simple what we'll do. So one step, one yes, one no. Okay, so you one, yeah, one yes, one no, one yes, one no. Every other, yeah.
Oh wait, do we? Okay.
Yes. One yes, one no. One, that's it. Okay. Yeah. So we have 2 circles. You know. Okay. Yeah, great. So what we will do, it's something, remember I showed you this image of 137 degrees, like you can have, in a circle, you can have phi ratio, and you can do it like this or like that, okay? So what we will do is that we will do this angle, so just move looking to the right, and you will make with your hands, you will open your hands, straight hands, and you will feel where is a place that you actually connect to the ground. You will feel like you will feel a tingle. You will feel like pack. You know, like you literally are. You're transforming your sphere into a toroidal shape, so you connect to the torus of the Earth. You follow it? It's very clear. Pack. You feel how it literally embed. Okay. So when you have felt it, you will close your eyes. And you will close your eyes, no problema. No one will take your shoes. And you will walk very slowly. Okay, so close your eyes. And you will walk very slowly so you don't bump anyone. So start walking until you feel that the same way this torus is embedded, until you feel that your feet will embed a sacred spot for you. You will feel like walking, and then you will feel this, I feel power. This, I feel that the earth is taking me, okay? So you will find your own implosion point, okay? It will going to be, no, you will have to be walking. We will all be walking, eyes closed, okay? So start moving, very slowly, start moving, wherever you want. You will feel, imagine like a bird that is flying and, you know, with your magnetite in your nose, with your Messner sensors, eyes closed, everywhere you want, like everywhere. Okay, try not to go to the other mountain, just here. All around here, just feel with your eyes closed, trust your intuition. If you bump someone, if you're walking very slow, no problem. You just, you know, recalibrate, reconsider, until you feel a place, an implosion point. You will feel like, pack, here I feel strong. Here the earth has taken me. So your toroidal field and the toroidal field of the earth will take you, will embed. Remember what Dan has been teaching a lot about these compression waves. This is exactly the compression waves. So close your eyes, just keep walking until you find it. If you found it, you stay there, you put your arms, you relax your arms. If you haven't found it, keep walking, slowly, slowly, keep walking until you find it. If you have found it, just relax there, put your hands down, feel that energy, like it's literally a connection. What Dan has been teaching us about the longitudinal and transversal wave, it's exactly that. We are in that type of scalar waves. So if you found it, stay there. If you haven't found it, keep walking. You will feel stronger, you will feel more powerful, you'll feel like grounded. It's like, wow, this is, this is a powerful spot for me. And if you're there, just go to your heart, feel your heart, and connect to a deep emotion, gratitude, Ho'oponopono, thank you, I love you, please forgive me, I'm sorry. Like, you can repeat that to yourself, to the planet, to the whole universe. Just connect to that feeling, because we as a community, we help transform the whole energy of the earth. So we're almost all there. We have almost felt our space. Okay. So take a deep breath in. Open your eyes. Don't move from your place. Just open your eyes and make this, okay, like this. So you will be 137 degrees up, okay? So just connect, open your heart, look up, and just feel how the energy from the sky is going through your body and connecting to Earth. Just feel this blessing, feel this gratitude, feel this love, and share it. Take a deep breath in, exhale, hands down, and now, without moving from your place, I want you to observe what has happened, we as a whole group, what has happened in between all of us. What's the ratio, what are the relations in between all of us? If you can see from above, we will be in a huge kind of mandala, we'll be in a kind of geometry, but observe something. Observe what has happened, what ratio has happened in between all of us. Look, for example, you remember what's the most important ratio? 1.618. So, if he is 0 and she is 1, where is she? Is she in the middle in between there? She's a little bit to the left. If she's 0 and she's 1, where is he? It's a little bit to the left. And if we can see it from very far, if he is 0 there and she is 1, where is she? We are all in between each other in phi ratio as a huge mandala. Can you see it? Yeah. So she is 0, follow me here. She is 0, he is 1, okay? Where is he? He's not in the middle. He's a little bit there. What type of courses are you taking? How did this happen? In all scales, we all resonate with phi ratio naturally. So you are a natural architect. You just have to feel it, This feng shui thing is you feel it. He is 0, okay? There is 1. Where is he?
A little bit this way.
A little bit this way in phi ratio. Look at them. If she is 0, you're 0, you're 1, she is where?
Notice also, has their vision gotten a little bit sharper?
Has your vision got sharper?
It's pretty sharp.
So don't smoke these things. Can you see that? if we can, you know, go broader spectrum, like in the very extreme to the very extreme, we will see that everybody is phi ratio to everyone else. So this creates a very powerful energy. And this is the way we naturally relate. Naturally. We don't need to think. We just have to resonate with what we are already. Okay? So thank you so much.